Hey there, welcome back to the channel. My name is Andrew Clark, and in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at my guitars. So on this channel, we spend a lot of time talking about pedals, playing with pedals, listening to different sounds from pedals, and we don't spend a lot of time talking about guitars. And obviously the guitar you're using can have a huge impact on your tone and on your playing, so I figured it would be a good idea just to take a look at my tiny little guitar collection. Just like with pedals and amps, I believe in quality over quantity, so my collection only consists of 4 guitars. And in this video, I just want to kind of keep it simple and just go into some sounds that I get from each guitar, why I've chosen those guitars, and why over the years, after having many different guitars and a larger collection, I've kind of pared it down to just these few. I'm gonna leave my amp set the same for every guitar so you can kind of really hear the differences between each guitar, and we'll hear it clean, and then we're gonna be skipping the pedal board, and instead we're just gonna go into the Flint and the King of Tone. The King of Tone for a little bit of drive when we want to hear that, and then the Flint is just adding a little bit of spring reverb. All right, so the first guitar we're gonna look at is this Suhr Classic S Antique, and this is my #1 guitar. So if you've seen any other videos on this channel, you've probably seen me play this guitar. I'm pretty much using it for 75–80% of the things that I do, kind of no matter the genre. And my very first electric guitar was an old 80s American Standard Strat, and I think because I spent so many of my formative years on a Strat, it's kind of just made Strats my most comfortable pick. Some of the features, it's got a 9 to 12 inch compound radius, which means that it's gonna be kind of a rounder radius, which makes it easier to chord down at the bottom, and then a flatter radius up top. It's also got stainless steel frets, which if you've never tried them before, I highly recommend trying them. Usually once you go to stainless steel, it's very hard to go back to typical frets. It's also got locking tuners, which just makes string changes easy. It also just helps the guitar to stay in tune. And then it's got a Godot 510 bridge, which does kind of a better job, especially if you like a floating trem, which I do. Technically it's a vibrato, but we call them trems. Then this Godot 510 does kind of a better job of staying in tune if you are gonna be using it than a typical Fender bridge. And then the pickups are the Mike Landau Suhr signature pickups. I think nowadays if you bought a Classic S Antique, it comes with a different pickup set. I think it's like the SV63 or something like that. I could be wrong, but they're just a good sounding set of vintage style Strat pickups. So beyond just the specs, it's just a great playing Strat. It feels really good. Suhr make amazing instruments. All their tolerances are very tight, so no matter how you set it up with whatever action you're comfortable with, it's gonna play great, it's gonna sound great. And I've played many other Strats from Fender Custom Shop to the PRS Silver Sky, and this is my favorite. I'm not saying it's better than those, but this one is just kind of the one for me. So I'm gonna show you some sounds. Neck pickup's gonna sound like this. And then neck and middle are gonna sound like this. Middle pickup like this. And we've got bridge and middle. And finally bridge. So pretty typical standard Strat single coil tones out of this guitar. Now I'll show you some tones with gain, so I'll kick on the King of Tone there, and back to the neck pickup. All right, on to guitar number 2. So next up we got the Suhr Alt T Pro. This is kind of my guitar for when I'm not getting what I want out of the Strat sounds. This guitar kind of does everything else and covers most of my other bases. Because my first guitar was a Strat and then my next guitar after that was a Tele, I'm so used to Fender style bridges that my hand really doesn't feel comfortable on Gibson or PRS or any other style of bridge. So for me to get a humbucker guitar that I actually liked and felt comfortable playing, I needed to go with something like this. So it's not gonna get me less Les Paul sounds, but it does kind of do its own version of the 335 thing. It's got this chopped off T-style brass barrel bridge here so that there's room for the humbuckers. The humbuckers are Thornbuckers. They kind of are a good way to retain a lot of the clarity and dynamics that single coils have while still having some of the benefits of a humbucker pickup. I've had a bit of a hard time connecting with humbuckers in general because you lose some of that articulation from single coils, and because I'm so used to single coils, whenever I plug into a guitar with humbuckers, I always kind of felt out of place. So these actually sound pretty good. They even work particularly well with compressors, which humbuckers typically don't. This guitar also has a 9 to 12 inch compound radius, so the same as my other Suhr. The neck profile is a little bit different. It's also got like this amazing satin finish on the back, so it's very smooth, especially for me with sweaty hands. Very comfortable, easy to glide back and forth. It's also got locking tuners. My other Suhr had the nitro, like the aged relic nitro, which is not for everybody. This guitar is not nitro. It's a poly finish, so there's no relicking whatsoever on this guitar, so it's totally clean. And one of the coolest things about this guitar is it does have the ability to coil split. So when we're all the way up on the neck, we've got humbucker, and then when we've got a fourth and a second position. So fourth position here is going to split my neck. So I'm gonna get a single coil neck pickup sound. And then next position here, position 3, we just get both humbuckers together. And then we go back one more and we actually get split each one. So it's both pickups in single coil mode. So we get the combination of the two for kind of like a traditional telly sound. And then back all the way, we get just this back humbucker. All right, so we'll start off with the neck pickup sounds here. Next up, we've got the split neck. Then we've got the two humbuckers together, sound like this. Then next we've got the two humbuckers together, but both of them split, so kind of two single coils together. I'll play the same thing here so you can really hear the difference. Then last up, we've got the bridge humbucker. Even though the amp's set up pretty clean, it's still gonna be breaking up a little bit at this point, so. Now I'll kick on some overdrive so you can hear that. Again, the red side of the king of tone. So here's the bridge pickup. All right, so we'll run through the rest of the positions. Next up, we've got the single coils, the two pickups together. You'll hear there's a considerable drop in gain, so there is a lot less drive when we switch here. Sounds like this. And then the two humbuckers together. Next up, we've got the single coil neck on its own. And then last up, we've got the neck pickup. So if you kind of want one guitar that'll pretty much do everything, this guitar is pretty awesome just because you have access to those single coil tones as well. So yeah, let's grab the third guitar. All right, so my third guitar is this Fano Alt Facto SP6, and this was like my very first high-end guitar. I had it like custom built for me back 2013, 2014. And if you're not familiar with Fano, you might have heard of Novo guitars. They're very popular. Dennis Fano is the founder and owner of that company, and this was his first company, Fano Guitars. So what they kind of tried to do was create like these alternate universe style guitars. So it's got like the Les Paul Jr. body, and then it's got like all the Tele layout here, right? But it's also short scale, like a Gibson guitar would be, and it's got this very fat, kind of chunky 50s Gibson style neck profile, and then obviously the headstock's 3 on each side as well. So it's like best of both worlds, but also like the negatives from both. So it's a really cool guitar. It does feel like it's an old guitar. Obviously, it's very, very worn in. I actually only had very light relic. I toured with this guitar, and it was pretty much my only electric guitar for years. And so I put a lot of this wear in it myself. It's got a compound radius just like the Suhrs. This one I believe is 10 to 16 though. So it's a little bit flatter where it starts, but then it really flattens out up at the top at the 16-inch radius. It does not have stainless steel frets, so it's always an adjustment when I go back to this guitar. Feels a little bit different. Lindy Fralin pickups. They're kind of supposed to balance because obviously you've got the P90, which is going to have more output and a lot more low end, and then the Tele bridge pickup here. They have like this custom version of a bridge that they would make themselves, which basically has those ashtray edges cut off, which makes it a lot easier to play, very comfortable. And yeah, it's got vintage style tuners, so sometimes struggles to stay in tune a bit, but it's all about the vibe, right? And then it's also super light, which is great. It's under 7 pounds, well under 7 pounds. So very comfy to hold, very easy to kind of play a long gig with as well. So here's how it sounds. We'll start back on the bridge pickup. It's kind of a typical Tele, just kind of higher output. So you can hear we're already getting a lot of breakup, and these are not humbuckers. And the amp's still set the same as it's been the whole time, so pretty dirty pickup. We'll jump into the combined sound. So this is the Tele pickup with the P90 together. And then lastly, we've got the neck P90. It's a very different sound from like the neck pickup on the other two guitars, so it kind of fills in the gap nicely tone-wise. And now I'll kick on some gain, so same thing, king of tone, red side here. Neck pickup. These pickups are a little bit noisy, so you are going to hear that, but they sound great, so. Middle position next. Then last up we've got the bridge position, just an aggressive Tele sound, sounds like this. So while I don't really use this guitar as much as it kind of deserves, because it is beautiful, it's a really cool guitar, it does fill the gaps really well. So when I'm looking for a very different sound, maybe something a little bit vibier, it does that job really well. And now we'll jump over to the last guitar, which is my acoustic. So the last of my 4 guitars is this Collings D1. Now I don't play a ton of acoustic, which is kind of sad because this is such a beautiful acoustic guitar. But I got it for like this crazy deal. I'm not even gonna share with you, but it was like a quarter of its actual price I paid for it. And the reason was because it had some damage here. I'm not sure if the camera's gonna pick it up. If you can't see it there, maybe I will do kind of like a close-up and put that in the video. It split right down the side there, and so it was repaired. It was glued back together. It also had just like a bunch of bumps all over it, some scratches on it and stuff, which is kind of sad because it's such a beautiful guitar, but it just was played a lot. But it plays perfectly. Everything about it is great. I don't have a ton to say about it, but I'll let you kind of listen to it. I don't have a proper mic set up, so you're just gonna have to hear the room mic. So this isn't like a finished product, but this is what it sounds like. It's based on a Martin D18, if you're familiar, very, very, very popular acoustic guitar. So this is Sitka spruce top, mahogany back and sides, 14 fret, just typical dreadnought. Nothing crazy spec-wise. It's just a good sounding, super well built guitar. I'll give you one more quick sound sample here. And that's it. Like I said, just 4 guitars. For me, quality over quantity when it comes to guitars, when it comes to amps, when it comes to pedals, honestly when it comes to everything in my life. So I'd love to know what your guitar collection looks like. Do you go for quality? Do you go for quantity? Maybe some kind of balance in the middle? Leave your answers in the comments below and I'll be looking forward to reading them. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to the channel as well. I am so close to 1,000 subscribers. I'm like 20 subscribers away, so I'd be really pumped if I could hit that goal this week. And yeah, thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching the video all the way through, and I will see you guys in the next one.